welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, day number 322. What's-up-Plex64, how's it going? And Eli Flowers says WSG. What's going on? Is that what that means? What's good? I'm not sure. Alex says, hello world. How's it going? That's interesting. I guess I released a video today. Maybe that's why there's more people in the chat earlier. It's so random how the algorithm goes. Sometimes it's quiet for 30 minutes and then sometimes there's tons of people in the chat immediately. So there's no updates on these major items. I did release a video today. So what is that? 1, 2. It's already been 2 weeks. It took me to get that out, but I guess I've been publishing shorts too. So Elemental Admin MC says hi. How's it going? Yeah, so this video complemented the last one, which also the last two videos performed very poorly, but I guess it's not too surprising, given that the graphics is not as good. But at the same time, I think they're also important. I felt it made sense to issue some, more specific, clarifying descriptions of the former video. It makes sense to, I think it makes sense to put out content that's at a very high level, but also stuff that's more specific. Linux commands and algorithms and stuff, all that is, it's useful. I mean, we spend a lot of time optimizing stuff, but at the same time, we also have to back up and ask, like, why are we doing any of this stuff? Why are we building software? Why are we creating open source? You can just call me Elemental. Will do. All right, we will continue work tonight on the terminal block mining simulation game. Make sure the program is not broken. What distro is this? This is just regular Ubuntu. I usually just go with Ubuntu because it's the easiest to get working. Okay, game works. Now the test, I think, had a failure. Yep. So we added some checks. Added some checks to make sure it's probably unloading all of the chunks at the end. So the intro to what I'm doing right now is I'm working on unit tests for the chunk loading module for the block mining simulation game, of which there is some links in the description that talk about what the block mining simulation game is. And the overall arc of development right now is to work on multiplayer. And specifically, I'm working on trying to get the game to work with multiple local clients, and and that requires some updates to the chunk loading. And I guess now I'm just making some unit tests for the first time ever. That is interesting that it fails with pending chunks loading. That shouldn't happen. Classic dev, unit test after a year. Yeah, it takes so much time to make a unit test. But I guess I kind of, a lot of times I can find unit tests are like a good way to pivot. Like you can make a simple implementation with no unit test, and then you can use the implementation, or like a slow version of it, a crappy version, to unit test the unit test. So it's kind of, sometimes it's hard to articulate what you even want in the unit test. But if you have a basic implementation, you can start writing some unit tests, and then now that you have some unit tests, you can start being like aggressive at making the. You can start refactoring the implementation, and you can kind of go back and forth. Hi, how's progress? Good question. So the current, I guess it depends when you last checked in. Right now I'm working on some unit tests. Let's run the game. So for the past, I'm not sure how many days, I've been working on progress toward multiplayer. So I guess there's always new UI features that need to be implemented. And last check 10 days ago. Okay. Actually, there hasn't been much progress since last 10 days. I don't think. I guess the 100-day check-in would be some of the work I have on adding the new world connections frame, and then the authorized world connection. Eventually, I'm going to come back to this once the chunk loading stuff is working with multiple connections. The main difference, I guess, the unit test is a bit more. It's testing a bit more useful things. So I have some tests now to, at the end of the thread, check to make sure it's tracked all the signals for chunks when chunks become pending. There's some checks to make sure it's subscribed to the right chunks. And then I should probably track the unsubscribed signals, and then also when chunks become available. And right now it's failing this. And once that's working, the next thing I'm probably going to do is, there's a bug right now in this model that I don't have any unit test for. where if you update the change region to something that if you update the change region so it's still within a chunk boundary that's already loaded, you won't get any notification. So I should change that so there's like a notification signal that's sent to the client, so that way the client can know it needs to update in that region. There is some update in that region. Once that works, then I'm going to start generalizing this to work with multiple clients. And then once that works, then the whole point of this whole entire reason for building these unit tests, that'll be complete, and it should be possible to open the map area for multiple clients. But after that, there's actually still some work to do on the UI, because there's currently no way in the user interface to open a frame for a specific client. What's your opinion on vibe coding? Do you do it? I've not. People, I regularly get asked. I regularly get asked about vibe coding, but I haven't. I've tried a couple times with Copilot. I just go on GitHub and I ask it stuff about my repo, and every time I just do a quick test. It's always underwhelming, but I know Claude Code is what I'm supposed to be using. But it's far down on my priority list still. If you want to volunteer, test multiplayer across networks, I'll volunteer. Eventually, I probably will. There's a bunch of things before it's kind of like coherent and working. I probably will also want to do some. There's a bunch of things necessary for security considerations and stuff. Regarding the latest video, I feel societal structure is paramount to consider versus math physics, cost details. If you have to pay $3,000 a month just to sell potentiometers, even in Axel-Heiberg utopia, that's still a big structural problem. I think societal structure is paramount. It is, but at the same time, because it's so important, that's I think why it ends up it becomes a thing that ends up derailing projects, where it's like it almost becomes like an attack vector, where people will let's say you have a good project and something's figured out, people will figure some way to shoehorn in their own ideological things, or someone has an idea to benefit their own country or to benefit their own group or their own business or something like that, and people will find ways to somehow work something into that in an ideological way. But the thing is, math and physics, if you just focus on the math and physics, it's so much easier to achieve consensus on mathematical and physical things. But I think there's at some point you have to stop just doing math and say okay, what are the societal implications of that, or about why is the cost of rent so high, or then you can think of it what about a co-op thing where everybody shares, nobody has to pay rent or something, or starting a new government or societal structure. But the thing is, that's a very difficult thing But at the same time, I also think like if you can figure out the math and the physics, it becomes so much easier to convince people on the policy issues. That's why that's my unique contribution there, just to say focus on the because if you can build out the mathematical and engineering structures, you can just like for example, if you start a debate on like which model is better, capitalism or communism, thousands of people can write thousands of essays about that for till the end of time, like what's the correct social model. But if you say like what is the potential energy of 40 million kilograms of water stored at 100 meters, you can just do that calculation quick, and like now you've got some proposal you can put out that like if we built this is what it would look like, and then that'll immediately shift the discussion. Hello friend, may I ask you personal, how did you found your passion, what you're good at? I guess I came onto this trajectory of originally I thought I might do pure math, because I think math is kind of a basis for so many other things. Then eventually I decided that probably software engineering, there's probably better job prospects for software engineering than compared to getting a pure math degree. And I guess my perception of what my perception of what the career path would be before and after, like working for various companies and getting into the jobs, kind of shifted over time. But yeah, I guess my finding your passion, I guess it comes from thinking about what is actually like important and impactful. But at the same time, you also have to think about what's practical. So at the time when I decided to go into software engineering, that was absolutely the right career choice. It's just the big mistake that I made was not staying in big tech between, I guess it would have been 2014 and 2019. That was my those were the golden years that were available to me. I graduated in 2014, so I could have done, I guess, 5 years until, but I guess the COVID era, we probably would have been work from home. So it probably would have been good until 2022 or something. How many times have you forgot the -J flag in Make? I guess I don't really run Make that much, to be honest. And -J does multiple CPUs, doesn't it? I guess if you even if you forget it, sometimes you also have to make sure your build process is robust to handle the J flag. So sometimes you can run it with -J and it won't work, or you'll get indeterministic results. Sometimes it's just better to wait if you're not sure. So where are you that you don't have a partner or kids and time is running out? I would say at this point, given everything that's going on in the world, it doesn't worry me. I'm kind of more or less just glad to be alive. As I don't know if you saw the news today, the last 24 hours about the in the Strait of Hormuz, or that area over there. There's tankers getting hit. There's lots of chaos going on. Yeah, I don't know. There's just it seems like the number of opportunities that exist are dwindling. It's not super clear that there's any specific action I can take to remedy that issue. The number one issue is just make more money. Why bring a kid into a world like this? So hard to be optimistic. I think, I don't know, at the same time, like, life has existed for thousands of years. I think if we had the social, I think like if you already had a kid, it would not be, if you already had a kid and a functioning relationship, it wouldn't be too bad. But it's the point of like getting enough money to afford an apartment and food. I mean, at this point, I'm almost thinking like hundreds of years ago, we just lived in the woods. I think that's what more people will start doing. It's just like opting out of the whole system. Let's live under a tarp, under a bridge. Thanks. I wish all good things for you. Thank you. Like, kids are resilient. Even if you lived under a bridge, I think as long as the parents were like emotionally, if you just told your kid like, we're on a camping trip, that's why we live under a bridge, and then every day you wake up excited, be like, are you excited for another day of camping, kiddo? The kid would be like, yeah, I love camping. Make enough money to afford just an apartment. And food is kind of sad. Yeah, it's there's that, and then there's also, I don't know, just the way society is changing is difficult to keep up with. Like I remember back in 2013 or so, we had that was when I remember Mark Zuckerberg was learning Chinese. And the whole idea was that like China was the growing power, and people were like becoming more integrated with China, and we thought like there's a prevailing idea in the like tech world that we'd all eventually be speaking Chinese and stuff, and we're all gonna China was gonna have like Western values, and we're all gonna be one big happy family. And then around 2015, that kind of just went away. Now we have like insane immigration. Nobody speaks English anymore. It's true, a lot of kids come into bad situations and become successful. Yeah, I think as long as you prepare kids with the right emotional mindset, like there's a lot of kids that are poor, who were poor, and they didn't even know that they were poor, and then when they grew up as an adult, they think back to like, man, I remember when we used to have these, like cereal for dinner. That was so cool. And then they grew up and they realized it was because they were poor and their parents couldn't afford it, so they just gave the kids like sugary food for lunch. A lot of them are in prison for it. Oh, from being in difficult situations? Maybe. It depends on how bad it is. Hard to gamble to. It's a hard gamble to want to take. I mean, you're not gonna grow up and go to prison because your parents had to buy like cheap groceries or something. 2020s were supposed to be a prosperous time. Then the plague happened. Yep, I grew up poor in a wealthy private school on a scholarship, so my view is skewed. Okay, let's try to figure out why this does not receive all the pending flags. Should I learn Vim? Somebody asked that question last night. I have a blog where I actually have a. If you want to dig into the history of Vim, you can check it out. I'll show you a thing on my blog. I have some videos and articles about Vim, and then there's also a game. If you search for if you search for Hacker News Vim game, the game came up on Hacker News a few times, and it's like I've never actually played the game, but apparently it looks pretty interesting. It's a game where you, like, at the very least, you learn some of the movements, Vim movements, to navigate around the world. Just use it. That's one way. Nice talking to you. Feels like there's someone out there who thinks like. Thanks. Okay, you're going to go to View All, and then Vim. Yeah, so go to blog.robertiller.org/Vim. And if you, a bunch of these have videos to go with them. I think these three, I think, have videos. So if you read those articles and watch those videos, that'll also give you some insight into like the historical background of Vim. CSS is your strong suit. It isn't. I mean, from my blog. Very human design. Thank you. Yeah, I put a lot of work into that blog, but honestly, I don't think I've gotten much return out of it. Do you have a home server? I have another machine that I develop on that's a bit faster than this laptop. Interesting. So this thing here would be, I guess, accomplishing the same thing this does. So I'll probably remove that eventually, but I think I need to also check if there's no pending chunks. Looking to get... Oh, that's not right. Looking to get a home lab server set up. Not sure if I want the whole rack set up or just the desktop. Thinking rack, because I have a Cisco management switch. I guess for a home lab server, the sky is the limit. But at the same time, I guess depending on your resources and like how much time you have and stuff, you know, if you have the money to invest in it, you can go nuts. But at the same time, if you don't have a lot of money to spare, it might make sense to just like see what you can get with stuff from eBay. Because I think you can buy, there's like decent deals with like older stuff on eBay. But some of that is like used. It can be like getting used enterprise stuff. Can sometimes be you have to do your research. Sometimes you can get like really great bargains, but then other times you can get something that it has like some weird proprietary interface, and you need a very specific, extremely expensive part to run it, because that's kind of how those always go. Just a simple. I've never bought a rack setup. I just have a desktop. Yeah, I guess it depends. Depends what your needs are. If you have to store lots of data or do computing, or other than that, it can just be like experimentation for like just teaching yourself, expanding your knowledge about how to run stuff. You might be able to learn run some VMs on it or something. And then you can learn how to use that for at another job. Shebal says, "Yo, how's it going?" Try using mini PCs, cheap and quiet. Yeah, honestly, you can get pretty far with a Raspberry Pi. I guess I don't know much about the mini PC market, but it is. You can run ZFS on a Raspberry Pi. Actually, you can. I have a video running a Raspberry Pi. I think Raspberry Pi 3. You can run ZFS on a Raspberry Pi 3. And I did it for a bit. I actually switched it for a Raspberry Pi 4 because the 3 was so slow going over it was like it's limited to USB. What is it? USB 2. So I think it's 20 megabytes a second of transfer speed. But if you go to Raspberry Pi 4, you got 80 megs, which is like reasonable. HP G2 800 or Lenovo M910. Not sure. I don't know much about those model numbers off the top of my head. I guess it's all about figuring out priorities and costs. Shosaki says, good evening. How's it going? Also got 4 laptops. One of them a ThinkPad. You could set up a cluster. That's also a decent collection to run some stuff on. But like I said, it all depends on. It depends. I think you got to start with some like needs first. Is the goal to host something or to calculate something, or is it about is there a learning objective? Going well. You've been very inspirational. Recommended an old laptop. Get sucked into CLI stuff. Excellent. We commissioned an old laptop. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Linux is great for an old laptop that was running slow Windows. So, it looks like there are some chunks that become stuck in the pending state. Everything is lightning fast. Yeah, that's why I used CLI. The memory footprint is also way lower. I have to say this at least once. Use Arch. Nice. I have a nice setup where I use Tmux. Left pane is Cloud Code. Right side is regular CLI. Yeah, I've gone through phases where I use Tmux quite a bit. Yeah, it'd be honestly it'd be kind of nice to get back to coding for most of the day again. Okay, somehow there's chunks that get stuck in the expected pending signal chunks. Some nice things with Tmux. Wasn't expecting to miss. Like select, copy, paste. Just using a TTY terminal. What wasn't? Not sure what you mean by wasn't expecting to miss. Oh, you mean things you missed from a graphical UI by going to Tmux. Like select, copy, paste. Oh yeah. I guess because I'm in Vim a lot, I can just copy and paste through Vim. Yeah, that is actually a good point. It is kind of unfortunately difficult to copy and paste. I guess you can just use the mouse. Basically, I want to host 3-4 machines, VMs, to practice managing professional network, 2 admins, 2 clients, possibly incorporating a Plex virtual game server. I guess you could do it with the laptops probably, but if they're like in an actual enterprise setting, you'd probably have 4 nodes that are identical, but it may be an extra challenge to get them to work on like heterogeneous hardware. So it'll probably be one that's like has some kind of it has a CPU flag that the other ones don't have or something, so that messes everything up. Interesting. This should be a simple thing that just works, but it does not. Today I spent all day with Cloud Code, reverse engineering Google Colab VS Code extension as a CLI tool. So now I can run stuff on the free tier with the beefy GPU. Reverse engineering a Google Colab VS Code extension. Interesting. Okay, let's Is having my ThinkPad as a firewall a bad idea? I guess it depends. If you're on like residential internet, it depends on the topology of your network and also the rules that you have, and also the software, the firewall software you have on there. I said, I don't know, hard to answer. I think these days probably residential internet boxes, like your modem, for the most part, I think internet service providers, like a residential internet, should not allow inbound connections and have some kind of, there should be some sensible security on that end of things. Otherwise, like residential internet users would be constantly hacked. But then again, if you get in there and you start being, if you start cleverly making your own stuff, depends what you turn on. There's all kinds of you can turn on like remote access software and these things, and then if you think you have it configured right, you don't. And then there's all kinds of issues where sometimes you can have you can enable a firewall, and then depending on what it's running on, when it updates the software, it also resets the firewall, so shuts it off and stuff. Usually NAT itself is a big implicit firewall. Yeah, that's another thing. Unless it's IPv6. I guess hopefully you would have you would have some sane defaults with whatever your. Again, it depends on your topology, because you have if you have a residential modem, and then sometimes what they sell now is some combination modem and router. So the router settings and the modem settings are in one box, and in that case you can control the firewall, or all the port settings of both devices from one panel. So that makes it maybe easier to disable everything and let in all traffic by accident. If they're in separate devices, then you have to think about the separate management. And I think nowadays probably most ISPs, I think ISPs increasingly are starting to consider the modem their own property, and I think they push updates and configuration settings more and more on their own. So I guess there's that to think about. But yeah, it's if you start getting confident about managing your own firewalls, unless you have whatever, if you change something, you gotta of course test it, and you have to be competent at testing it. But if you decide to get clever on your own, then it's very easy to set something up. It's accidentally totally insecure because of something you don't know about. Okay, somehow that's missing. Missing a signal for one of the pending chunks. Been using my CLI only laptop as a fun experiment. Trying to do everything without a desktop environment. Surprisingly hard. Yeah, some things are like basically impossible. Depends what you're trying to do, but like, there are some things where like technically it would be possible to do it with a terminal, but it's also nonsensical. Like for example, like watching videos or something, or like editing an image, like an image editor in the terminal, is possible to do that. But if you're in like a pure TTY environment with no like complicated graphics, like you can, if you have a terminal, like GNOME terminal or something, you can put things like, right, actually even not even GNOME terminal, but other terminals that run in a graphical environment. You can do like sixels and display pixels and stuff, but that is not an allowable operation in like the pure console, like the simplest TTY environment. There's just no concept of like a pixel. You have to, everything is a character. If you do a lot of if you just do coding and do a lot of like remote system administration, you can pretty much just live on the terminal. But for the other stuff like interacting with any graphical, opening a bank website and stuff like that, you kind of have to do it in a graphical environment. A lot of things nowadays that require a web flow of some kind. They're setting up an OAuth token. Yeah, I've done a bit of stuff like that. If you have to do web requests, you can often do if it's just an HTTP request, you can use curl. And then there's also I think it's Selenium, if you want to run in a browser automatically, which I think you can probably run it headless, which would allow you to like do it without a display. Be surprised. Watching videos hasn't been too hard. Have a tool that uses search tool, returns URL, runs MVP. Yeah, but that's cheating though. You're probably still running it within the context of like some kind of an X server. Try doing like, if you do like Control Alt F1, or I guess it'd be like F2, F3. If you switch to a pure TTY and then try running it, you'll find that it doesn't. There's no thing that allows you to do that. There are some like, sometimes when you're in the console, there are like frame buffer applications and stuff, but those are kind of just like reinventing a more minimal version of the graphical display, and at some point it becomes like an exercise in absurdity. Okay, these are the chunks that are still sitting in the pending state. Didn't think X server was installed. I don't think MVP is using it. I'm in pure TTY. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's in. I don't know a lot about MVP, but check the contents of wherever you are. Do echo display. Yeah, check these variables, display and X authority. And if those are set, then you're probably in an X environment. Good evening. How are you today? Decent progress? A little bit. I guess there's been more chats recently, so I've been chatting more. Currently trying to figure out. I'm actually testing a couple more things with my test, but I have some test failures at the moment. X30 is empty. What about display? Is display? X authority might be something different. But if display is set, then I'm pretty sure you're in some kind of a graphical environment. Display is also empty? Oh, okay. So, okay. I guess the question is, so if you can play videos, the question is, how are you playing them? There are some terminal, like some pure like console applications that can interact with the frame buffer. So it used to be let me try something crazy. Actually, probably about the end of the stream anyway, but let's do the following. Yeah, so let's try this. So we're going to try to take random data and write it to the frame buffer. Now, at one time this worked. it worked. If you saw, well, I guess I don't have a mouse because I'm in a TTY, but did you see up at the very top of my screen, it actually wrote, maybe we just need more. Oh, there we go. It's kind of hard to see. It's right up where that text is. It's writing some data there. So I go 3,000. So I'm just writing random data directly into the frame buffer. In some cases, let's do 40,000. There, you can really see it now. Now you can see it even more. Now it's overwriting everything, but yep, that's one way of so I'm in a pure TTY. I did Control Alt F2, and you can just actually I could probably do let's see. This is I wasn't expecting to go down this rat hole. Okay, now we can make this more interesting. MVP must be using something like that. You also get into forward, backward in the video. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to maybe Google that myself and learn about how exactly it's doing that. It might have like MVP might have like different. Maybe it's like smart enough to like sense the maximum capabilities available. I've also like this trick about writing from dev view random directly into the frame buffer. This works sometimes. There's I don't know what qualities make it work or not work, but there's cases where I've tried this and it doesn't work. So theoretically, you should also be able to do. Let me just think. Okay, that's what I want. Let's see. I'm not sure how the not sure what the like format is for the frame buffer, but we'll try this. Okay, now we have a script that'll write out some colors. Let's see what that does. You just need more. It's not doing what I thought it would. Interesting. I'm not sure why that is not working. Would have figured it would write out some colors. Run a server over SSH. Perhaps some stuff doesn't work over SSH. Oh, actually, when I did, that is a good point. I did Control-Alt F2. So in my terminal, which is over an SSH session, it still it switches to TTI on my local machine. So I can, if I switch to a TTY, a different TTY on the remote machine, then that would be the case. Does it have to be single or double quotes? So the single quotes should surround the whole thing. It seems like it is working, but it's outputting a couple pieces of text, but not that much. Try writing yes command, repeat it instead. I could. Yes, that just does, yeah. Yeah, that's what yes does. Need to get better at Vim. Yep, we just need to spend thousands of hours practicing. It's really weird. Why doesn't that not work? It should be possible to like theoretically, if you know the format to write to it, it should be possible to just, you could like literally write the colors here. Maybe they're I can see there's a dot that appears. It's kind of hard on screen, but pass the string as an argument to yes. So we'll repeat it. Oh, okay. Let's see, it's yes, A. Okay. Interesting, same color. Same color. It's a slightly different color. Managed to get MVP to load your YouTube live stream. Nice. Since the letters only differ from least significant bits, not surprising. Colors are similar. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I'm still kind of perplexed at why is that not working? Okay, 61, x61, that's A. That's not working. But that should work. Oh, this is why. Oh wait, no, never mind. I thought I had just ended it. I didn't pipe it. Okay, I still don't know. Oh, that's why. It's echoing that parameters. Do echo -en. Why? Oh, maybe it's because I'm just doing sh. Okay, that's closer. It's still not what I expected. I think sh parses it. Actually, sh is more primitive, so it parses it differently. So why did it not? should print this out. It should print that 10,000 times. There we go. Okay, maybe it overflowed. I just think it lags. Okay, so I can control the color. I don't know the color format though. I have to look up the. I assume maybe it would be RGB triplets, but I guess not. But yeah, if you looked up whatever the format is to write directly to the frame buffer, that would tell you, and then you can just. I think this is very much not portable. There's cases where I've tried this and it doesn't work at all. You need to make a list of all the things that are easy or hard to do on TTY. There's probably some posts on it out there. It's because you're piping done at the frame buffer. The done, that's part of the bash loop. On my desktop, you have a purplish background. Put an MVP on my laptop. You're on a blue background. Yeah, I think magenta is a kind of it's hard to represent. It's probably, the color space is probably different, given the different device context. Wonder if you benefit from putting live in your YouTube title. When I search on my laptop, I had to use day 322. Yeah, I think I'll continue with the same format. Like I've done 322 days of the same, so I'll probably finish the last like 40 something, and then I'm gonna call this series complete at day 365. And then after that I'll kind of meditate on. I'll probably do less live streams, but I'll figure out a different format. Maybe make the UI look a bit more interesting. Anyway, I'll probably leave it there for tonight, and we'll be back again tomorrow for day 323. All right, have a good night.